Hey guys, this is Nathan and welcome to the Gaming 4. Today in this map review, we're going to be covering a map called H4ke, and that is spelled with an H4ke. And this map was created by Mad Joker, and of course, as you guys may have noticed already, this is going to be the highest map we have scored so far, and actually this is a pretty unique map in itself. First of all, I think this is probably the first one that has been suggested by one of you guys. So one of you guys came into the comments, said, hey, I made this map, and could you check it out? And we're like, well, of course. And as it ended up, this was a great map to do. The second thing that's sort of unique about this map is that it is a roleplay map. So it's not a normal survival, although it can be treated as a survival. So just going into this, be aware that it was not made specifically for survival. It's meant to be survived in a roleplay sort of situation. So anyway, let's start getting into some of the positives of this map and why it's scored so high. So right off the bat, guys, something we've been waiting for is this map actually had plenty of food. It at least had enough food for 2 or 3 people to right out of the bat have enough to live and survive on. And it definitely would have given us a lot of time to make a garden and start producing some of those natural sources of food ourselves. So right off the bat, plenty of food, and that was really refreshing compared to the rest of the maps. Also, an interesting thing about this map is that it did employ some use of mods. Now, the mods didn't add objects themselves. They were mostly server-side sort of mods, but they included such things as being able to buy vehicles and be able to hold them in your inventory. Because of this mod, it really helps the roleplay side of it because you don't have to rely on finding vehicle spawns, although there were vehicle spawns throughout the map as well. Another pretty good thing about this map has to do with the detailing, and the detailing in this map was kind of inconsistent, but the areas that were detailed were very nicely done. Something also to mention about the detailing is that there were these specific villages, and you'll see them in the footage at a certain point, but they were not detailed at all, and this was actually done on purpose. So these areas of the map were kind of weird, but they were meant to be the housing and homes for all the RP players. So of course, parts of those areas were not detailed, and we're not really going to be able to take points off of that. This is more of a themed map, and because of that, the lack of detailing in those areas was actually done on purpose. So moving on to the natural side of the map, the natural landscape of the map was pretty decent. I mean, it wasn't anything spectacular, and it wasn't definitely the most beautiful map we've ever seen, but something that Mad Joker did include in his map that a lot don't is that he did include natural animal spawns and metal nodes. And for the animal spawns, he did include both hostile and peaceful animals, so there is a point to going out and hunting those during your survival. In terms of newer content and some more special content in his map, he also included many custom NPCs, and by many I mean probably 10 to 20, and he also included one of the pre-made quests and plenty of vendors. So there's a lot of economy that you can sort of do in this map, and that sort of is because of the RP side of it as well. As for Easter eggs, of course I'm not going to give them away, but there are 2 substantial Easter eggs in this map, and there may have even been more that we may not have found, but of course those were definitely worth checking out, and those were very cool, and of course we added some bonus points onto his score for that as well. So that's going to pretty much do it for the strengths of his map. So let's move on to some of the weaknesses, and yes, there were weaknesses. He did get a good score, so these weaknesses are going to be a bit more minor, but you know, as a map maker, you can almost always improve. So it's good to keep the weaknesses in mind, even though you've got one of the better scores out of all the maps. So one of the main weaknesses this map actually had was that there was an overall lack of item drops. A lot of this probably has to do with because a large part of the map is filled with sort of blank areas that are left available for players to survive in themselves, but even the basic resources that you would find throughout the map, there really is just a lack of them. Including some of the major ones that were sort of left out were also healing supplies and clothes. So whereas yes, this was kind of annoying, this was not necessarily the worst thing. Obviously, you can survive through not having clothes and healing supplies, you just have to be more careful. But, you know, this was kind of an unfortunate thing when we were surviving on this map. Another smaller thing that this map had problems with was that the zombie drops didn't always make sense. So, in some cases, you'd have, you know, a dressed up zombie like a civilian, and then it would drop something completely different, something completely unexpected, and that really kind of broke up the immersion of the map, and it sort of made you question, like, why is this happening? Also, heading back to the natural side of the map, the one thing this map did lack was natural berries, and that would have really been helpful in terms of supplementing the healing supplies, because some berries are really good at healing your character and also reducing the infection of your character. So there's only a few more issues that we had left with the map, and one of them has to do with higher tier weapons. Now, of course, for every map it's important that you allow the characters to get higher tier weapons, otherwise it's almost impossible to access the higher tier areas of your map. The one issue relating to this in this map is that some of the higher tier zones would have been almost impossible to complete and get to because there was an overall lack of automatic weapons and ammo throughout the map. One of the areas in particular was actually a Easter egg potentially, and this area really was not worth it for the amount of items and resources that you would have to have used to actually raid this place successfully. So whereas the Easter egg was really cool, you didn't really get much out of it in the end. And of course, when I'm talking about these things, it is important that I'm thinking about this in terms of maybe a single player or a very few players sort of situation. Of course, if you've got a whole clan of RP players behind you that are all working together, it may be a little different. Of course, the Easter egg you still will not get much out of, but the higher tier areas will be easier to conquer if you've got a lot of people working together. So overall, guys, this was a very good map, and obviously there was a lot of good work and effort that went into this. Of course, if you were playing this single player, it would be kind of weird because it is meant to be an RP map, but definitely don't stop that from letting you guys check it out in the first place. So anyway, guys, please like the video if you enjoyed it, and please subscribe if you want to see some more. I will see you all later.